What's up, YouTube? We're gonna be doing the iPhone 6 repair. If you're watching this video, you broke your phone. I mean, other than that, I don't know why you'd be watching this because there's nothing more frustrating than a broken iPhone. So I wanted to go ahead and make a video using the exact tools that we sell on our site and be able to fix it and show you guys that it's not a very difficult repair to do. So this will be the complete teardown. I do also have an iPhone 6 Plus video. Same thing. This just goes more in depth with the tools and everything that you'll get in the kit. So pretty much all we gotta do is, open up the phone and take off the screws. You guys saw me take off those two screws before. Those are pentalobe screws. And then these 5 screws here is what holds the ribbon cables together on the motherboard. So 5 screws. The way that I do it is I just keep everything kind of exactly how I took it off. So when you're putting it back together, you're going from top to bottom or left to right, however you want to do it. And it is very important that those screws go where they're supposed to go. Do not mess them up. And if you do happen to mess them up, do not put them in whatever hole you think, but don't over tighten them, because you can over tighten the motherboard and then it's gonna be a disaster. So once we got the screen taken off, you got 3 screws on the right side, 3 screws on the left side, and you're just gonna want to disassemble pretty much everything on there. The whole idea is you got to take off all the screws, get the phone bare, glass, frame, and LCD, and then we'll go taking off the actual glass. And if you guys need these parts or tools, feel free. There's an Amazon link to buy them there, or you can go to the website and purchase them there, and you'll get expedited priority shipping. So if you're feeling brave, go for it. We're taking off the home button here. It's a little bit of adhesive. If yours is stuck, just heat it up with a blow dryer. You don't need a heat gun. I did the whole video with the blow dryer to show you guys that you can do it. I mean, make sure you have a decent blow dryer. You don't want a blow dryer from the dollar store. And there's only 3 things you have to heat up as far as taking off the whole, all the components off the LCD. Is the home button, that metal plate, and the speaker mesh on the top. And then once you remove everything and align your screws, if you guys notice, I have mine right next to that paper. Put yours as far as possible. The blow dryer is going to blow all the screws off the table. Work on a flat surface. Try not to do it on your carpet and lose all the screws. And just go ahead and heat up the phone as hot as you can till you can still handle it, touching it with your hands. And then we want to start off by taking off the bezel frame. It's almost impossible to take off the glass without taking off the frame. It's not necessary to take it completely off. Just, if you guys notice, I take off the corners and the top, and then you work top to bottom, and then that last piece on the bottom is always very difficult to do. So, and it's okay if you pull off glass. It's the whole purpose of it. So it's actually easier to pull it off with the glass, and just continue to heat it. You don't want it to get too cold, because then the glue liquefies in there, and then you're causing pressure on the LCD. So continue to heat it up at, every 20-30 seconds. If I was able to help you guys out so far, just please give me a thumbs up. Go ahead and subscribe on the bottom there. And like I mentioned earlier in the video, whatever tools that you need, they'll all be in the description below, where to purchase them, breakdown of all the tools and exactly what you need. Don't be fooled by those $10 kits that come with just glass and 2 screwdrivers, because it's impossible with the iPhone to not replace the frame, and you need a couple more things. Go ahead and put tape here, like I'm doing, unless your phone just has like a hairline crack. But if you have a bunch of cracks, the reason you want to put the tape is when you start heating it up, it'll kind of melt onto the glass and it'll keep everything together. So when you pull it off, you're not leaving a whole bunch of pieces of glass, and then when you clean it, you scratch the LCD. So just put the tape and it'll come off as one solid piece. And then you want to get the metal wire here through. Like I said, work from top to bottom. and this is going to be your best friend right here. As soon as you heat it up, it will just slide right through. Just make sure it's hot, and don't remember that LCD is, it needs to be straight. So I know that I'm pressing on it and holding it up in the air, but just keep it on a flat surface. Don't do what I did. Unless you've done it before, then do whatever you want. But other than that, try to do the same process I'm doing here. Alright, and then once you take it off, go ahead and test your phone, make sure everything's working, and then we'll get into the cleaning. But that's it. Hard part is done. That was everything else is just prepping, cleaning, putting glue, putting tape, putting all the screws back together, and that's it. So, alright, so how do we clean? We clean with anything above 90% alcohol. Do not use anything under. You will not be able to take anything off. The glue needs to be nice and hot. If not, that razor blade is not going to work either. So heat that up. Once you take all the big chunks of glue off, then you use the alcohol. The alcohol is just going to kind of eat at the glue and make sure everything comes off. Don't overdo it with the glue. Behind the LCD, there's something called a backlight. Um, can you change it? Yes. It at that point it just becomes difficult, and you need a soldering pen. And this is supposed to be a do-it-yourself kit. So when I tell you to use the alcohol, use it. Dab your paper towel in the cap and just clean it. Remember that alcohol dries fast, so it's not gonna really run into the back unless you're pouring it on there. Don't get crazy and use orange glow or what's this other one, that citrus liquid. All that stuff, it runs and it stays streaky. Um, it leaves those streaks on your phone. So just use the alcohol. And then once you get it nice and clean, make sure there's no glue or residue or dust or anything. Um, Usually you would use a mold to do this, but the mold is fairly expensive, and to do one repair, it's really not worth it. So this needs to be aligned almost perfect. I mean, there is some room to wiggle, but that frame on the side, it's not like the iPhone 5. It's very, very thin, so it needs to be as perfect as possible. So use kind of exactly what I'm doing here. Put the bezel frame on there, and where you see that it fits perfect, um, you know, use a pen or permanent marker and just touch it with the tip, so that when you put the glass, you know exactly where to put it. Where to finish drying it. So remember how I told you guys about the liquid glue? I'm sorry, about not letting liquid run into the backlight. So the whole purpose of the tape here is for two reasons, three reasons actually. You don't have the molds. You don't want any liquid to get into the backlight, and to kind of just keep it in place while you put the glass on. So you'll notice the tape is not going to do anything. Just all you want to do is get it as close as possible to the actual top. It is okay. It's supposed to lay on top of the glass, um, so that when you put the screen on, all the liquid runs off of the tape and not into the actual backlight. And then once you got everything nice and perfect, we're gonna put the liquid optical clear adhesive, is what it's called, Loca Glue. It kind of just, even if you scratch the hell out of your phone, and there's a bunch of streaks from whatever product you use, if you didn't use the alcohol, this glue will kind of just make everything go away. It gives it that factory finish. You won't get any dust. It doesn't really cause any bubbles. And just try to use the same pattern I'm using here. It's kind of like a stick man, a crazy stick man, I guess. And when you do this, putting on the glass as slow as possible. Do it. I mean, it should take you about a minute to put that thing on. So the faster that glue runs to the top, the more likely you are to make bubbles. But if you do it nice and slow, it kind of flows to the bottom. It doesn't trap any air, and that's all you have to do. At this point, once it gets, all the air pockets out of there, you can press it down. You do have the tape on there, so it's not gonna run into the backlight. don't don't press it like a caveman. Remember you're working with technology here, so press it like a human being and just nice and slow. Be patient. You don't want to break it after you fixed it. So, and then once you line it up by the permanent marker points that we did there, dry it with this flashlight. In the video I did it for 20 seconds, but you need to do it for like 5 minutes. So make sure it's very very dry. Work on the corners and on along the sides more than anything. That's where you want to stop all the liquid when you take the tape off. Okay, once you dried it, notice when you take the tape off, there's gonna be all that extra glue. Scrape it off with the razor blade. All that glue will turn into like a gummy, kind of like what you were taking off before. Identical. So, and just give it one more blast here on the sides, just so that you don't get any liquid after you took off that glue. And then this used to be the most difficult part because you had to put super glue and all this crazy stuff. But now the bezel frames that we sell, they come with pre-installed hot glue. The way that Apple does it is they use cold press glue. So I mean, ideally it's the same thing. They have a cold machine. This is activated by heat. So all you got to do is get it really hot. You'll see it to start bubble. I'm sure everybody's used hot glue at some point. Once it starts to bubble, just put it on really real quick. And then if it looks like there's some gaps, when you turn it around, just heat it again. You just press it nice and firm. You want to get it, as perfectly aligned as possible. And that's it. Everything else is just reassembling. Everything is easy as far as the reassembly. The only thing I could give you guys a pointer on is the speaker mesh on the top. Just line it up as best you can. Obviously there's a hole there. The glass that we have here too, sometimes you buy the iPhone glass from China, and then what happens is that your phone works and then your sensor doesn't. So you have that sensor that whenever you're on a phone call, you always mute people, and it's because the sensor is supposed to power off when it's on your face. So obviously if you have cheap glass, it's not really gonna power off. It's just gonna be lit up the whole time that you're talking on the phone. Well, if I can give you guys the best advice, it's buy a case for your phone, because look at all the work we have to go through to fix this. And don't give me the I can't do this because my fingers are too fat. Look at the size of my fingers. I mean, if I can do it, you'll be fine. We'll magnetize all the screws that you order. And if not, it'll be impossible to fish them out. Go ahead, once you reassemble the whole thing, clip all the banners. Do it. Don't press down too hard. You're supposed to hear them make a clicking sound, and then you know that they're nicely stuck in there. Remember to put these 5 screws back on. If they kind of went everywhere, do not over tighten them. And then this is probably the most frustrating part. If you break it, work along the sides. Do not push down real hard. The last thing you want is after you fix the entire phone and it's perfect that you push down too hard and you crack it. Remember, it's a piece of glass that you're bending. So work along the sides, jimmy your way all the way to the bottom, and you should be able to do it. And then we'll go ahead and test the phone here. You guys will see everything is working perfect. No backlight failure, no water damage, no dead pixels, no dust, no whatever else can happen. So, like I said, feeling brave, go for it. Please, guys, like the video, subscribe. It took me a lot of time to do this for you guys. I did it so I can save everyone in the community that doesn't put a case on their phone some money. Thanks a lot. Follow us on social media.